It is Jim Krenn, No Restrictions, with John Vento and Jim Pitulski, our engineer and producer. We are having such a great time. John has joined the show. I love doing this show. I've done well over 200 episodes. I think maybe 250. I'll get the final count. Jim's going to... I finally have a great... I had great producers. I did. But Jimmy's a different cat. He comes from a different... just a major league producer.
He's a big league sound guy.
It's like
big league music guy.
It's like having... It's like a
world
major
class.
League, yeah. Like, how do you get this? But anyway, so we're really lucky. But
hey, Jim, when I heard the first podcast that we did together,
and
as soon as it came out the gate with the music and then your voice, I called Pitulski. I was like, "What did you do?" I mean, it was just so rich.
It's a
thank you,
difference in a difference.
Thank you,
know
Jim.
What I'm saying? Thanks.
Jim Pitulski.
Well, yeah, Jimmy and John. So so it's fun, and I'm really excited. For everyone who listens to the podcast, and they've been loyal to us. Say your computer. If you hear a little noise in the background, it's John's computer. No big deal. But it's lax here. We're at John's studio in Gibsonia. We're in beautiful Gibsonia. It actually is beautiful. John has a club out here, Steamworks, which I play from time to time. It's a real cool club. I love it. And as you know, I'm a stand-up. Everyone out there knows. And I have some theater shows coming up. We're putting together 2024, and we have some other shows coming up here this year. But the next show for me, I'd love for you to come to, is at the Ruckus Cafe on Babcock Boulevard. I'm doing a stand-up show there the night before Thanksgiving. I used to do that before because it's the second biggest party night to New Year's Eve, the night before Thanksgiving. So I would do it for years, and I stopped doing it for a while. And then I started playing. I played this Ruckus Cafe as a singing venue only for 2 different types of shows for singing. And every time I was on stage singing, I love singing. It's fun. But I was salivating of what I can do with stand-up here because it's intimate. It's set up.
It's a cool place.
And it's like John's place in the sense that it's a family kind of thing. And to me, it gives a little more soul to the art and community vibe. Mm-hmm. It's a husband and wife. They own this cafe. They came out to Steamworks to see me too. That's what we talked.
Did they?
Yeah, they're real nice
great.
people. I love them. And they have it's a coffee shop, and connected is a room that holds about about 60 people or so. So I really appreciate your loyalty out there. I mean, I would be nothing without you. And that's just it. I'd be talking in my basement by myself if it wasn't for you. So I'm just saying, if you're not doing anything the night before Thanksgiving, come on out, the Ruckus Cafe, 8 o'clock. So give them a call. Go online, Ruckus Cafe, Babcock Boulevard.
North Hills.
Yeah, North Hills. Give them a call and, get tickets or reservations, and we'll see you there. It's like I said, it's only 50, 60 people, so it's going to be a lot of family and friends. And if you're listening to this podcast, you are one of those family and friends, because this is a really loyal community, and I really appreciate that. John, it's fun. We're working with John, man. John got me into singing, actually, really, and it went beyond hobby now. It's getting into it. I'm just getting into it, man.
You're working with a voice coach.
Yeah,
you're performing more than ever.
Yeah, we talked with Beth, as our voice, because she's wonderful, really majorly. And so we got a show coming December. We'll talk about that. It's coming up, a singing show. But the cool thing about John is he releases these albums from time to time. And they're like personal diaries, in a sense, I guess I would say, his life. So I always love the lyrics and love his singing, his voice. It's got little grit, little earth. It's, a
little grit.
It's a combination of Sinatra and a guy who's got hit in the face with a pool cue, man.
There you go.
He's lived, maybe. You know what I mean? And he's got there's a story there, some soul going on there. And John tells me he did a country song.
Yeah,
and
we're just going to release it brand new.
Yeah, I'm not the craziest about country, but I like some, Chris Stapleton's kind of country-ish, I guess, and I like him in certain country songs. I like Chesney and some people. There's some really good country artists out there. So I was kind of taken aback. I was like, wow, a country song, and he just played it for me, and I love it. And Jim, could we play his John's song on the pocket? So Jimmy's going to put this song
snippet.
in. So here it is. I'm going to go back to my DJ days and say, the temperature is 52. No, here at Corbywood Studios. Here's our new hot single. Now, John, tell us about the song, and then we'll play.
Yeah, it's a song called Love, Lust, and Wreckage. And for people that know me, they may have heard that before because I was involved with an album and a stage play of a similar name, but had never created music, as a quote title track. Mm-hmm. And I had a concept for the song and brought it to one of the great local young talents, Shane McLaughlin, who's a writer, performer, singer. And Shane kind of molded this thing. And then with my new acoustic guys, Vento, Ziggy, Hawk, and McCarthy, we recorded it. So it's Love, Lust, and Wreckage. It's country.
It's country.
Yeah.
It's kind of folk country. Tells a story.
Yeah.
So I like it. So here's John Vento in his country. Let's just say it's your country debut for fun.
Yeah, country debut.
His country debut. Here he is. Good old John. That's what we call him. Big John. Here he is. Big John.
Been out on the highway more than a time or two, looking for a bottle and a place to sing the blues. Every back road bar fly calls me by my name. Every blonde bartender knows how I play the game. Well, it can't be wrong if it feels alright. Love, lust, and wreckage is the story of my life. Well, I started pretty young. I've always been mature, tearing up the honky-tonks from shore to shining.
All right, that was great. I hope
Thanks,
everyone
Jimmy.
enjoyed that, and it will be out about a week or so, or soon.
Yeah.
It'll be on all the platforms.
It probably will be out by the time we publish this. Yeah.
Yeah, so check it
Yeah,
out.
it's rated on all those streaming platforms, all that stuff.
Go to iTunes and everything and get that
Can
song.
I just say real quick about your singing career?
Yeah, man.
Because first of all,
Absolutely.
everybody that knows you have a heart of gold, and this isn't really a mutual admiration thing. I mean, we don't do that, but you were emceeing a show for me, a benefit at the Fox Chapel Yacht Club. It has to be. Is it 4 years ago now?
Probably about 4 years. When we
And
started,
I was in the middle of multiple vocal cord surgeries.
Yeah.
And you were going to MC a show with my band, the Needs Hotel Band, and I could not sing. And I said, Jimmy, I'm in trouble. And man, could you just jump in? And I think it was a twist and shout. That was your go-to.
Yeah, I was just starting.
And you were just starting karaoke. And,
just learning what it
you were
is.
like, hey, I'm just kind of starting to sing.
Liking it, yeah.
And I said, well, if you wouldn't mind, I'm trying to find a way to keep this show going because it was a charitable function. Didn't want to cancel.
That. Yeah.
And man, you jumped in and with your energy and your beautiful spirit. And that just was the beginning of everything. And then you did it again for us a few months later. Mm-hmm. And I think that's when we talked. And I said, Jim, you've got the chops. Don't make the mistakes. The reason I'm having vocal cord surgery is because I did not sing properly for many, many years, and I paid the price. And that's what got you started with your voice lessons.
Johnny, thank you. You know, it's funny, John. You're right. I didn't realize that till you turned me on to Beth. Beth Clausen, she's a voice teacher. If you're out there, if you have a job where you have to speak a lot, or if you want to sing, Beth Clausen in Morningside, she's tremendous. But anyway, what John's saying is right, because now I do a 1 hour show when I do my stand up, and before, if I did an hour, it was hard. If I had two in a row, like a next night, I would have a little trouble because the voice would be a little raspy. Now that's not the case. Now I could sing also for an hour, and it doesn't bother me because the breathing and it's every technique she teaches you and the exercises that you have to learn. So I know exactly what you're saying. Now, it would be the worst thing in the world for a singer. Obviously, God gives you this gift to sing, and it heals people. Entertainers. That's why we're here. That's the blessing. It's a gift from God, I believe. Yep. And to share. And so here you have this gift that you could share, and I empathize. It's like, wow, man. That's kind of scary when you hear it could be gone. So what happened, man? Did you wake up one day and It just couldn't talk or
Well-
something? What happened? How'd this happen?
Well, as you know, in January of 17, I was diagnosed with kidney cancer.
Yeah.
And
The audience doesn't tell me. Yeah, it's
yeah, I mean,
wow.
out of the blue, I felt good, and the next thing you know, I'm urinating blood, and then next thing you know,
Yeah.
I'm in surgery, right?
Real life.
Yeah,
Real
yeah,
life.
the real world. And I really believe, and I'm not the only one that feels this, when you have a major surgery like that, there's a risk of nicking the vocal cords getting damaged with all those tubes.
Right.
Now, don't get me wrong. Okay, cancer versus singing. Well, you can get rid of the cancer and you get rid of the singing. And I think I got back to performing too soon, like within a few months after the surgery. And then in less than a year, I was done. Completely
How scary
done.
is that, man?
And, when you're at a show, yeah, it was scary. And when your sound man comes up to you at a gig and says, hey, man, can you hear yourself? And I could hear I remember the night exactly. It just wouldn't come out.
Wow.
Right? It just happened.
You were like a mime up there singing.
It just was kind of thing. And then it just kept getting worse and worse.
Which is scary, man.
I thought it was a cold. And then I went to the voice clinic in Pittsburgh, which is world renowned.
Right.
I went to the NYU voice clinic in Manhattan through a connection. And it just kept getting worse.
And it was from strain? Is that what it ended up being,
it was,
basically?
I think there was
strained
certainly the surgery, the cancer surgery, removing my kidney, nicked it. And then straining thereafter. And then someone introduced me to Beth. I really thought I was just done with it.
And here you are, releasing albums.
I am, yep. It's a different voice. It's a much lower voice. And, Beth keeps screaming at me, hey, forget about what you did before because you can't do it.
I like your voice.
I
like the evolution of your voice. I brought up
thanks,
Sinatra
Jim.
when I was saying Sinatra, but maybe I threw that in because there was an evolution to Sinatra. There was
we get
Sinatra,
older too, right?
When his voice was younger, and I love his voice when he was older.
Yeah.
That's my favorite Sinatra, when he had attitude, Like, I get no kick from champagne, baby. It's like he didn't care. It's like, I'm singing this song and you're gonna like it. Like, and there's something about that, man. Because, singers are storytellers. That's what we do.
Yeah, that's what we do. So here we are. And, you've been nothing but a supportive. And I love seeing the progress you've made. And it's just cool. It's just great.
Well, you're my idol. You're my idol because we talked about women last week. We're going to talk about women all the time because we love women. But I just got to tell you, ladies out there, I don't know what we do without you. I mean, John has a Michelle. Now I have a girlfriend, Michelle. I have Michelle.
Isn't that funny?
A beautiful Michelle.
And wait, for how long did you say to me, I want a Michelle?
I want a beautiful Michelle like you.
You loved my wife.
Your
in a
wife's
beautiful,
so gorgeous.
Yeah.
Heart of gold. Oh, she's so cool. Everything.
And now you've got a Michelle.
Now I got a Michelle. She's beautiful and kind and talented. Yeah. She's great. She's great. She makes me laugh. I say, really, it's funny. She's one of the funniest people I know.
That's great.
But anyway, the funny thing about this thing is I've noticed when you're dating, when you have a woman, you don't have a woman in your life for a while, and you have a woman in your life. My God, there's a difference. What was going on? How horrible was it? I have friends coming up, John included, people walking up to Michelle going, you're really doing a good job with him. What am I? Am I like a pet? You're really doing good. Yeah. He dresses nice. He wears clean clothes now.
Your underwear's clean.
He could eat with a spoon because of you. Yeah, I'm like, oh my God. Yeah.
You're more sophisticated. You're calmer.
Yes.
It's just as a whole, it's just a different approach.
I'm like, was I that? They're like, he does the dishes now. People are like so proud, like, they can just do functions, normal functions. I was like, I had no way to do functions. He's like rebuilding me or something.
Jim,
women
when we
do that. They have a way of helping us.
First of all, dating over 50 is no fun to begin with. Right?
Yeah, no.
Okay, then you kick into dating over 60.
There you go.
Which makes it even trickier.
Yes.
You're calmer, right?
You're calmer. You have more medications. Yes, of course. You're calmer.
Let's not discuss some of those medications. That your dog takes.
But really. My dog takes Viagra, as everyone knows. But it's pretty cool. I must have been helpless, though. I'm thinking every time I saw it, I was like, he looks great. I'm like, I'm here, I could hear you talking to her. I'm right here. But yeah, she is wonderful.
No, we're both lucky guys.
We are extremely lucky.
Jim's next. The Pitulski man's next.
The next Jim. The next
but
Jim.
It can't be a Michelle.
You got to give Michelle. No, everybody should have Michelle.
Yeah, I guess you could have a Michelle.
It's a great thing. It's a blessing. So, this switching gears, as we know, this show is basically sitting at the end of the bar with John
Yeah.
and I, and you belly up to it with us. And eventually we'll be doing phone calls, hopefully, and stuff. Now we got a major league
Wouldn't that be
producer.
fun?
Now we got Jimmy. We can do almost anything now.
Yeah.
And anyway, I was watching a really bad movie the other day, and it's just. Do you ever watch a bad movie at the beginning? You just can't stop. I'm half hour.
Oh,
in.
yeah.
I just want to stop. I should stop. It was a Michael Jackson Lifetime movie. It was called Neverland, and it was written by a bodyguard. It was about like his viewpoint, like he was a good guy and all that.
Was he in it? No.
Not a documentary, scripted.
Oh,
They had
there
a
was an
guy
actor.
Who,
There was an actor.
a guy who
Yeah.
looked like him, and
Okay.
but they tried to, they portrayed him as like this regular guy, like really, like dating, going out, and
Because the documentary Leaving Neverland
right.
is a whole different.
It's a whole different thing.
Yeah, let's not
But
discuss
this
that.
thing was now when I was on the radio, I did Michael Jackson character, and it's kind of like what I was thinking of when I was watching this movie. When I did the character, I'd call in the radio show, and I would think, well, he's not really this. Hi, how are you? I just want to one day meet Tinkerbell and everything. Like I feel that's an act, and when he's off.
Do you really?
When he's off camera, I always thought was like, all right, man, I got this thing. This is really good.
Did you
He's like
see
a
This
truck
Is It?
driver, tough guy, tough
Yeah,
guy.
no.
So it was funny. We joked, but this movie was kind of made it like that in a tongue-in-cheek way. But it was but it made me think. Sorry, John.
No. I was just going to say, did you see This Is It? The
Yes,
documentary after
I
he
did.
died.
I did.
And he was that guy.
It was
You're
strange.
You're doing so good, and he was so nice to all the musicians. And,
Oh, he seems like a nice enough.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to.
Well,
whatever.
yeah, whatever.
Get involved with any controversy
wait a minute,
stuff.
you're in movies. You got movies coming out
You
of
know
your
what? I
right.
reinvented into some. I found something. I love acting, and stand up is basically acting.
Sure.
To go up and do these
Yep.
characters, and when I'm doing stand up, I'm basically me, but amped 10 times.
Yeah.
The energy of who I am, and animated much more than who I am, and doing impressions and things, and that's storyteller. And about 5 years ago, really talented director, Chris Robert, New York. He saw me. And he was nice enough to put me in a film with some speaking roles. It's called Another You. It's got a national release. It's on It's on Amazon. It's like like maybe 10 lines in it or whatever. But
We gotta watch it.
But he came back and said, "Hey man, you could do this. You could do this if you're going to do this." So really, he goes, "Yeah, Jimmy, you can, And it's not. It's like stand up to me. I mean, hey, I'm not De Niro, man. I'm talking about. I could do that little side character, but it's basically hitting your mark, not sound like you're reading, and I do all the angles and be able to do it over and over, the same thing. But anyway, I was lucky enough after that movie to do another movie that is called The Great One, and that's going to be coming out sometime we think in 2024. And I have about maybe 15, 16 lines in it, but it's a lot of fun. It's about Clemente in a way, indirectly. It's really a family movie. But this particular movie, I had no lines. All lines got cut, but I end up in the movie, about 30-40% of the movie I'm in, by just being lucky. The star is Cotter Smith.
Oh yeah, he's
If you don't know who he is, look him up.
big league.
Really?
And lives in Pittsburgh. Lives in Regent Square.
He's a Pittsburgh guy, man. This nicest guy in the world. And he's in The Americans, which I watch. And, I was like acting. When I first day of the shoot, I'm like looking up his resume. Like, oh, my God. I watched The American. I'm looking for him. I'm like, there is Cotter. So I'm watching this guy, and I'm like, man, he's pretty amazing. But it's called Unsinkable. It was
Unsinkable.
It was a film by Brian Hartman, Cody Hartman. 6 years in the making, putting it all together. And I saw it last night. It was the opening film at the Three Rivers Film Festival, which is an amazing film festival. And to see it in a theater, I've got to tell you, it's going to be, it's huge. It's going to be it's a major
and
league
you
movie.
are your mug is all over.
My mug is all over the
Fantastic.
place, and Larry Richards is too. Larry's an actor and a writer also.
well, Larry's so talented.
Larry's written movie.
Aren't we gonna we got to have Larry on as a guest?
So we're gonna get him
soon.
next show.
He's
show we'll get him.
fantastic.
But so Larry's an actor. So Larry and I, we're close friends, very close.
Yeah.
And so we love being in this movie together. I was just talking about it right out here to record to Larry. I said, Larry, it's so cool. We always be in that movie together.
It's fantastic.
And the camera comes you see our mugs. We're playing like lawyers, and it's about the Titanic when it sank. After it sank, they have to have an inquisition. They're trying to see what happened. Could have been avoided.
Oh, wow.
And it cut back to the sinking, the rescue part, and it looks like you're in the Atlantic Ocean. I don't know if they want to be reality, but it's real.
So
it's
there's
water.
some serious effects.
The effects are amazing, and then they cut back to the the Cotter is a senator, and he's doing this hearing to see what happened. He's asking questions to these people, the survivors, and people that were crew.
Was this all filmed in Pittsburgh?
Yes, 100% of it was filmed in Pittsburgh. Wow. How cool is that? Well, Brian and Cody will probably come on the show.
And what theater? You said you were at a theater last night?
Pittsburgh Playhouse did the first showing of it ever.
I just drove by that place this morning. I have not been there.
It's beautiful. It was a premiere for that movie for their film festival. Now, it's such a major league movie, and it's done so well, directed so well. Everything's really cool, man. From costumes to everything. It was major, license, incredible. It's going to be released. It's theaters. It'll hit theaters probably, or streaming. That's where the business side of it they have to work out. And then later in the year, the great one will come out. So there's a couple movies I'm in that'll be coming out, and it's kind of fun because I like acting. I like doing small parts and like a character kind of acting.
You can have you seen the Sly Stallone? Jim recommended the documentary on Netflix with Sylvester Stallone.
Jim said, I want to see. I did see a clip of it on Netflix, and I didn't watch it.
It's really interesting. I mean, as in all great documentaries, in my opinion, 3/4 of the way through, it kind of drops off. But I mean, to hear the story of how, the dude was living on the streets in New York, thinking up the whole Rocky thing and all that. As a matter of fact, I think aren't you related to Sly Stallone? I mean, you have a very similar.
I wish I was related. You know what I mean? I like Sly. I remember watching Rocky 1. That's when I first started impressed. I was like 16.
Oh,
come walking out. I'm talking like Rocky. I think I can do impress. You know what I mean? I know tomato.
What a movie!
I know. Yeah,
there were 6 of them, I guess. I had no clue there were 6 Rocky movies.
Yes, Rocky 1. They probably should have stopped after 3, but hey, when you're making $100 million, how do you stop? Who can blame them? I got to tell you, man, Rocky 1,
that's
unbelievable.
One of the greats.
Underrated as an actor because he was so commercially successful. They always panned him as an actor. But I got to tell you, Rocky 1 stands with anyone as far as an actor.
Oh, I agree.
He killed it, man. In Rocky 2 is great. I like 2 and 3.
I mean, in these 2 movies, this could set you on a whole new path.
That would be awesome. Yeah. I love the character acting thing. That be anybody. In this the great one I play, an alcoholic Little League manager. Typecasting.
I can't wait to see it. Typecasting.
Get the crazy guy.
I can't wait to see it.
Circling back to the Michael Jackson thing, as I was watching Lifetime, I remember watching, going, oh wow, man, I remember I saw him perform. It made me start thinking of people I saw.
What was that at the Bad tour at the Civic Arena?
I saw him at the Civic Arena.
Yeah.
I saw the Jackson 5 in Philly. And I started thinking of all these acts that I've had the pleasure and luck and fortune of seeing by being on the radio and having opportunity.
Right, because DVE was the station for concerts.
Yeah, so, and the Stones, to the Who, to Paul McCartney, Elvis. I saw Elvis as a kid. I was like 16 years old or some New Year's Eve, 1976 at the Civic Arena. Wow. It was a heavy Elvis, and it was still the coolest thing ever. And I was a kid. I was 16. I was like, what am I watching? This guy's the coolest guy ever. And I was enthralled with him. And I went to Graceland, man. You told me you went to Graceland.
I went to Graceland twice.
We'll talk about Graceland, but I was going to say, I would say that Elvis, and I saw Sinatra, but he was an older Sinatra.
I saw
like
that
late
show.
70s, 80s.
Yeah.
But I think Elvis may be my favorite. If I had one pick to pick, because it was just mesmerizing to see Elvis Presley New Year's Eve. So I was a kid. Between that and Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band when I was 17. That's when I saw God, rock God right there. Oh, yeah. And Springsteen too when I was like 21. But those are probably tied maybe as the 3 best. And I was wondering, you're a musician, you grew up loving music, obviously it's your passion. You got to have a favorite song or meeting someone and
live
change your life or whatever.
Well, first we were so blessed growing up in Pittsburgh with the Stanley Theater, which, as we learned with the Rich Engler documentary, between New York and Chicago, the Stanley was the shit. right?
Perfect. Yeah.
It was the place.
Stanley and the mosque, in the Syrian mosque.
The mosque was smaller, but the Stanley was about 3,000 seats.
Which is amazing when you think about it.
And, you know, I was so blessed in the 70s between my uncle, who was the county treasurer of Allegheny County, Jay Costa, Sr.
There you go.
You know Jay, my cousin, who's
Jay.
the state senator.
Johnny knows everybody, by the way.
I
He
don't know
knows
about that,
everybody. He's like, he could be the mayor.
So Uncle Jay would get us tickets
Okay.
to these great shows at the Stanley, from Frank Zappa to Thin Lizzy to Joe Jackson, everyone in between. Of course, Bruce Springsteen, 1978, was just the Darkness on the Edge of Town tour was amazing.
Before you go on,
Yeah.
I don't want to interrupt it. What did you look like in the Zappa days? Did you have like long
I had a
hair?
fro.
Did you go long?
Yeah,
you
I
had the hair fro up.
I had a Gino Vanelli.
You went Gino Vanelli.
I was a Gino Vanelli. Yeah.
Did you wear the shirts all the way and button on the belly button?
I don't
Did you do that move?
think I did.
Oh,
that.
come
The silk
on.
shirts
You can admit it.
with
It's
the
okay.
chains.
It was time. It was a
Yeah,
style back
maybe,
then, man.
but I don't recall that.
You could pull that off. I could
I'd
see
have to
that.
look at old pictures, but I know that I had the Gino Vanelli fro.
I pulled off. I tried to do the
I weighed about 90 pounds less.
Saturday Night Fever look. I tried that look. You know, it didn't
I
look
may
good,
have. I don't recall
but
that.
still.
But I got to tell you something
just
cool.
look like
I just
fever.
found out
What?
in becoming friends with Rich and Cindy Engler.
Yeah.
I was telling Rich about all the times I was at the Stanley.
We've had Rich on the show. We got to get him back on
I'm-
to chat and
I'm
do
sure
an
he
update
will.
on some things. But anyway, good.
So I told him how Uncle Jay, county treasurer, always had tickets. And when I say tickets, I mean in the first two rows.
Okay. So
Rich
here you
looks
are.
at me and he
Gino
says,
Vanelli fro,
he
messing
said,
up for people behind you.
How do you think your uncle got those tickets? I had no idea. He was a big shot politician.
Right.
He said, no, my mother was his secretary.
Oh, you're kidding. That's hysterical.
Do you believe that?
That's awesome.
So Rich's mother worked in the county office building and was helping Uncle Jay get these tickets for his nephews and nieces.
Man, that Gino Vanelli fro, I can't get out of my head.
I had the Gino Vanelli fro.
And the shirt open, sitting in the front row. What's your favorite? Do you have one that stands out?
That Michael Jackson show.
Michael
Jackson show at the Civic Arena during the Bad Tour was phenomenal.
It is.
I mean,
he
what
was.
a
He was
performer, what a
outside of
voice.
everything else.
Yeah.
Say he's an entertainer. We're talking.
Springsteen in '78, Michael Jackson. There's a reason that they're superstars, right?
Yeah. I like Springsteen early '90s even. I like Tunnel of Love.
Yeah, Tunnel of Love was a great album, and that was
different tour, but different style.
I mean, there's a long list of.
So Springsteen would be your up there.
Yeah, 78.
78.
Yeah, we're in the front row.
And
I got pictures here in the studio from that show.
Speaking of which, aren't you, buddy? You're like, why can't we have Gino Vanelli? My man, I love Gino Vanelli. Gino
lives in Portland.
I had the Gino Vanelli phase.
Yeah, I don't know if I would say I'm buddies, but I know Gino, and I was just with him a few weeks ago.
I have photos where I got the same look with a fro like you. You and I could have been his backup singers.
We could have been
Gino's brothers or something like that. Vino and.
Gino was just in Pittsburgh a few weeks ago. You should have heard his voice. 66 years old or whatever he is.
Still bringing it?
Beyond bringing it.
Stop.
He was phenomenal. He was phenomenal.
Was he? He was so cool, man.
He's still very cool. He's a very educated, intellectual.
Yeah.
I had the honor multiple times of hanging with Gino, and when he was in Pittsburgh last month, I drove him, picked him up in the afternoon at the hotel.
See, you gotta get him on the show here.
Well, we can call him in Portland, I'm sure, because he's got some new music coming out.
All right. Okay. Absolutely. So that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
I like the fact when you hear these guys, their voices are still going strong in the 60s.
His voice is phenomenal.
That's what's so important about what we're saying about, our voices.
Some guys hold up better than others. I mean, even Springsteen, even though he's kind of taking a break right now, 73 years old, still doing 3-hour shows. I don't know how he does it.
Well, yeah.
It's a gift.
It is. I remember before Don Rickles passed away, whatever that was, a few years ago, he was touring right up to the end, actually, Rickles. But I remember they did a documentary on him about maybe 2-3 years before he passed. He was still performing and still great. And I remember Seinfeld said it best in the documentary. He goes, I don't know how. He said, people don't realize the energy you have to push that out.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, I said, yeah. I'm thinking, wow, yeah, man. You're like in your 80s. To push out an hour on stage?
Let me ask you a question.
You're in fight or flight for 1 hour.
You're an established, professional, nationally known stand-up guy, right?
Yeah.
How would a Don Rickles do in this culture today?
He killed.
Seriously?
Yeah, he knew how to weave. And
He wouldn't get canceled?
nah, I don't
No?
think. I'll tell you why.
Because
It was tough then too. I mean, people forget, but he was just, there was something special about him. It's like, let's put it this way. He could cross every generation. And he was just naturally funny. And he just said things funny. I saw him open for Frank Sinatra on one of his last tours, Sinatra's tour. Now, Frank at this point is in his 80s or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was lucky enough to have like a front row seat. And Rickles comes up first, does 20 minutes. That's just open. Kills. I'm watching as a comic going, wow, man. He's got, this is a Civic Arena, okay?
Yeah.
He's got 16,000, 17,000, whatever it held back then, in the palm of his hands, like it's like a little nightclub, like a little corner cafe. And I'm like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So anyway, he's up. Now, Sinatra comes on. And they have a karaoke thing, like the big screen for him to watch.
The teleprompter. Yeah, I respect that.
Yeah, well, everyone uses them now. But he had this big one.
The letters were like 6 inches.
Yeah. And he's in the middle of a song, you know, and it's she gets hungry for dinner at 8, boom, whatever. And it goes out. I could see it goes out. Oh. And I'm like, and he's lost. He stops.
I heard about this.
And the music's playing, and he starts walking in circles. He's like lost on stage, like, you know, it's like, and in my heart, I'm like, oh my God. Don Rickles walks up on stage, says something that doesn't even make sense, but just made everybody laugh. Because it's the way he said it. He had a drink in his hand of like Chivas or some scotch. And it's all he did was walk up and starts laughing to get him back. And he hands, he goes, hey, Frank, could you hurry up the show? The body's getting cold in the trunk. And he hands, it made us. And the whole room laughs. Yeah. Sinatra buckles over. Yeah. And it just took a serious moment.
Yeah.
And that's what comedy is. Diffusing something serious. And that's what he did. He diffused things.
Truly one of the all-time greats.
He was not inflaming. He was diffusing people to real. And he would have done it a different way now, I believe. But I believe absolutely.
I'll bet you would have. I'll bet you enjoyed watching, or you still enjoy watching those old Dean Martin roasts. They're the greatest. You mentioned,
man. I watched them.
They're the greatest.
Pastor Brothers. Yeah. If you're younger, you don't know what this is. Go on YouTube, Dean Martin roast. You will see every character from Jonathan Winters.
You'll never turn it off.
No,
it just goes on and on and on.
It's brilliant, man.
Yeah.
It's entertainment. And back in the day, man, that was a cool era too.
There was so much
that
talent.
Whole Dean Martin. Sinatra.
And meanwhile, his faking to be, he didn't even drink. You know, when I read, he didn't even drink. He would like fake the whole drunk thing.
Well, yeah, he did. But there's a guy, Uncle Jimmy, lived to his into his 90s, and I go to L.A. when I do stand up. I stay with Mark Eddy,
a wonderful human being.
Beautiful wife, Cindy. Another guy we'll have on the show, of course. Mark's great. So. Brilliant comedian. You ever hear him? He plays around here too. He plays all over the country. But man, you'll give
the
yourself,
way he
give
integrates music into his show is phenomenal.
It's a rock and roll comedy show. Nothing you've ever seen. But anyway,
it's phenomenal.
I stay with Mark at his house in L.A. in Santa Clarita, where he lives. Now it's like a suburb, like Green Tree for Pittsburgh, L.A. Santa Clarita. But anyway, Jimmy, Uncle Jimmy, we had a place next to his. So sometimes if Mark's daughters were in town, and I'd stay with Jimmy. I love staying with Jimmy. Jimmy was Myra Lansky's right-hand man. No. He was the guy who ran the Sands through the 60s and 70s. And it was amazing. And he would love to tell the stories. And I asked him every question. He was amazing. Like, he would tell about, I'd say, well, who was the coolest, man? Who was the best? Who was the best? He said, Frank was really big, he said, but no one was bigger than Dean Martin. I go, really? He goes, he was the number one guy to bring in the Sands, bring the most money. I said, yeah. He goes, because the women loved him and the guys wanted to be him. He said it was one of the coolest guys, and he said he was a really nice person too. I said, who's a great? He said Sammy Davis was the most incredible entertainer he'd ever seen. Yeah. He said Sinatra would do his show at the Sands, and he would have Jimmy, who ran the whole thing, put a bar on stage. So Frank's done with his show, midnight show. Probably did an hour back then, whatever they did, right? Regular show. He's done with his show, and the audience is there, but a bar goes up on stage. Whoever's playing on the strip is at the bar. So he said there'd be nights it would go till 6 a.m. There'd be Frank, Sammy, Dean, Joey Bishop, whoever was hanging was going to be there. And they'd all sit at the bar.
On the stage?
Yeah, on stage. And they tell stories and jokes. And then one guy would jump up and do a couple songs. Another one would jump up. They'd do a duet. Hey, remember
could you imagine that?
Yeah, he'd be like, oh, yeah, remember we were in this club in Toledo on their day and back in the day and we did this song. And they jump up and do the song. Jimmy said it was unreal. Now, this is at a time where music was, they weren't lip syncing. There was no
backing tracks.
No backing tracks.
Yeah.
No microphones that made it different, whatever, I said, who was the man? Who was the voice? Who was the one that was incredible to hear? He said Nat King Cole was the ultimate. Like
that was
he
my
said,
mother's favorite.
He sounded like the recording, Jim. He said the others not quite. Dean Martin did. He was great. He was a big fan of Dean Martin, Jimmy. But it was just cool little insight into that era, man.
Do you know Beth Clausen's favorite male singer of all time is Frank Sinatra?
I believe it. I can see that.
She loves his technique, his phrasing,
his attitude,
the whole bit,
the whole deal. He's Frank is the chairman, baby. He's cool.
Those
Everybody
golden moments,
cool.
that age, those days in Las Vegas will never be, because now those shows in Vegas are all.
Well, it's different. Yeah,
it's all processed and.
Yeah. It's still fun, but much different. And we were talking as we're wrapping up the show, we're winding down here. I want to talk about Graceland a little bit because that was so cool. Elvis, that whole thing of Graceland was both bizarre and entertaining at the same time.
I sobbed the first time I went.
Yeah,
it was so emotional. And then, as you know, the end of the tour is the family grave site.
Oh, yeah. They show you the whole
Elvis
deal.
and his brother, and mother, and father, and now, of course, his daughter. Sadly,
I had to try they had a diner across the street. They had the fried banana peanut butter sandwich that he ate. I got to tell you, man, he was on to something. This was a great sandwich. It was incredible. I mean, I would have my cholesterol be 900 or something with it if I ate two of them, but I ate one of them. It's like a stick of butter and it's like deep fried and there's peanut butter involved. And you could get bacon or not, depending if you're healthy, if you're working out or not that week. Yeah. But it's like dripping with grease or butter, but it was heavenly. I mean, come on, if you're Elvis at 2 in the morning, if I could call down in my kitchen and go, "Hey baby, bring me a bacon peanut butter." Okay, you got it, Elvis. What'd you say? Bring me peanut butter banana. And then that would be it. I would do it all the time, but I can see what happened. He got out of control. If I had somebody who cooked that peanut butter banana sandwich, I would have it every hour, and they would. And who's going to say no?
Yeah,
you're on the payroll, right? Right? The Memphis Mafia. They're like, they want a peanut butter banana sandwich.
He gets what he wants.
Everybody gets peanut butter banana. He's very, very charitable. Gave to his friends.
Well,
you want a Cadillac?
There's so many documented stories.
Oh, yeah.
that he was. He never forgot where he came from.
No.
Poverty.
He was a unique
He loved his
man.
mother.
Yes.
And one of my favorite all-time Elvis things, he was getting crushed in the press and, the sexual stuff, and he's horrible in rock and roll. My all-time favorite thing is when Ed Sullivan brought him, he was on national TV,
right.
And he brought him over and he said, "I want to tell the country that this is a fine, respectful young man."
That's right, because they're right.
That completely changed. Ed Sullivan said to the world, "Cut the shit. This is one good guy."
And if you're on YouTube later, check out the duet Elvis and Sinatra.
And Sinatra.
Tie it all together when we're talking about it.
Yep.
So John, I hope you sell a zillion copies of your new song so you can be so famous we can have somebody make us peanut butter banana sandwiches every hour.
I think we should do that, Jim.
That'd be awesome. Let's go to Graceland, man.
Everybody should go to Graceland. Jim, have you been there, Jim P? You've never been to Graceland, and you're a music guy.
It's amazing. Plus, they have fried spaghetti, too, which is really good, too. Elvis had really good food.
Oh, he was. How about that room? I know we have to wrap up.
The Jungle Room, baby.
Well, the Jungle Room, but the room where all of his, and he never discussed this, the plaques from all the charities that he supported.
Oh, yeah. He was very
It
charitable.
is beyond. It's like a warehouse filled with recognition of his charitable giving.
My favorite was the Geeves, black belt in karate.
Oh, yeah.
They showed his videos. And
Oh, yeah.
He's kicking like 2 inches off the ground, you know.
God
Like,
bless
look out,
him.
baby. I got you.
There's a reason
Got
he's
your
the
bag,
king.
baby. TCB. Yeah, he was rather unique.
Yep.
It's only one. And there's only one now. You only have to look back to get that one Elvis. So there's somebody out there now. We'll just look. We'll be looking back
Maybe
on one day, you know, where there's Harry Styles or somebody, whatever. Who knows?
Oh, yeah,
They
he's
keep making their
great.
mark. They're in the middle. They're in the midst of their careers right now. A lot of these.
we'll find
Ed
out if
Sheeran
we live long
writers
enough.
and things.
We're getting old, Jim.
Oh man, I'm hoping we keep going, buddy.
All right.
I'm gonna throw that age away.
All right.
Forget that age.
I'm with you.
Let's become, just turn this into a self-help Deepak Chopra thing. Throw the age away. Meditate. You know who we are. No, man, this is great. I'm so happy to be able to do the podcast again, and we're up and rolling. A second one with my buddy John Vento, and Jim Pitulski is our producer. John, thanks, buddy, and I love Corbywood
Thank
Studio.
you, Jim.
Next one, we got to talk about this house and how you got this. Well, that's a long, interesting story. But you're into flowers, man. You got to see. This looks like Phipps Conservatory.
Well,
You come in this place, there's flowers everywhere.
I don't know about that, but yeah.
It's cool.
I'm a serious flower
You
guy.
are a serious flower,
I'm
man.
a serious flower guy.
Yeah, you don't hear that. Yeah, we never had
Yeah.
that growing up in the strip.
Yeah.
There's no serious.
A lot of concrete, though.
There was
of
no
that.
serious flower man. No one walked
No?
around going, I'm a serious flower man. No one did that. You are. And
Thanks,
you're
buddy.
Very special. All right, brother. Thanks, John Bento and Jim Pitulski. It is Jim Krenn. No restrictions. Thanks so much for listening.